What if death is not an end, but a passage? What if ancient civilizations, thousands of years before modern science, already mapped the soul's journey beyond the veil? Buried beneath the sands of time lies a sacred manuscript, a book whispered to have guided pharaohs, priests, and mystics through the mysteries of the afterlife. This is not mythology. This is the Book of Coming Forth by Day, more widely known today as the Egyptian Book of the Dead. More than a funerary text, it is a spiritual technology, a metaphysical guide encoded with symbols, spells, and truths meant to awaken the soul in its most vulnerable moment, the crossing from life to death. But why did the ancients go to such extraordinary lengths to prepare for what lies beyond the final breath? Were they merely afraid of judgment, or did they know something modern minds have forgotten? Tonight, we step through a hidden portal, a journey that begins not in fear, but in revelation. A journey through deserts, temples, and tombs where sacred initiates once whispered chants to Ra, Osiris, and Anubis, not to worship death, but to master it. In this episode, we will decode the ancient Egyptian blueprint for the soul's afterlife, its trials, its transformations, and the hidden keys to immortality buried in allegory. We'll uncover why this sacred text was never meant to be read by the living alone, but remembered by the dying. But this isn't just history, it's a mirror. Because what the Egyptians believed happened after death was a direct reflection of how one lived. And within their teachings lies a deeper, more haunting question. Are you prepared for your final judgment? Welcome to the unveiling of sacred knowledge once reserved for pharaohs and high priests. Open your mind, quiet your breath, for the sands are shifting and the gatekeepers await. To truly grasp the depth of the Book of the Dead, we must first step back thousands of years into the golden sands of Kemet, the ancient name for Egypt. A civilization so obsessed with the afterlife, they built monuments that defied time, not for the living, but for the dead. But why? The Egyptians didn't see death as a finality. To them, it was simply a transition, a crossing into a parallel realm governed by divine law and cosmic order, what they called Ma'at. This principle wasn't just moral righteousness. It was the very fabric of the universe, balance, harmony, truth. To live in accordance with Ma'at was to prepare your soul for the afterlife. To stray from it was to risk annihilation. Unlike modern religions that focus on faith, ancient Egypt focused on preparation. The afterlife wasn't a reward, it was a test, and the Egyptians trained for it like warriors of spirit. The Book of the Dead wasn't a single book, but a collection of spells, hymns, and invocations that evolved over centuries, written in hieroglyphs on tomb walls, papyrus scrolls, and even coffins. Its purpose? To guide the soul, the Ba, through a perilous multidimensional journey known as the Duat, the realm of the dead. But this wasn't superstition. The ancient Egyptians believed the soul had to earn its way to immortality, not through dogma, but through inner purification, courage, and alignment with Ma'at. This was not religion for control. It was initiation for transcendence. They believed that upon death, the Ka, the life force, separated from the physical body, while the Bai, the soul's unique personality, began its journey. But without knowledge, the soul would become lost, devoured by chaos, or trapped in eternal darkness. Hence the need for the Book of Coming Forth by Day, a title that reveals the real purpose, not to mourn death, but to emerge into light. This wasn't a death text, it was a manual for resurrection. Pharaohs, nobles, and spiritual initiates commissioned personalized versions of the book to be buried with them. Why? Because each soul's journey would be different. The gods you faced, the demons you encountered, the truths you had to speak, they all reflected the inner world of your consciousness. In a sense, the Egyptians believed you judged yourself. The gods merely reflected your truth back to you. This is where the mystery deepens, because within these sacred pages are not just mythic stories, but encoded spiritual technology, not literal spells but consciousness tools. The weighing of the heart, the uttering of secret names, the navigation of 12 gates. These were metaphors for the soul's evolution, steps of purification, mirrors of initiation. And yet, perhaps the most profound realization is this: the Book of the Dead is not about death at all. It is about remembering who you are, a divine being temporarily cloaked in flesh, returning home, not to some paradise, but to your true eternal nature. So when we speak of this book, we are not reading ancient words. We are awakening a map hidden within the soul, waiting to be one read, that is always not there, with the eyes, but with the spirit. The Book of the Dead, or the Book of Coming Forth by Day, is not linear like a modern novel. It's more like a multi-dimensional toolkit designed for the soul to use intuitively, according to the terrain it encounters in the afterlife. But some spells, chapters, and symbols carry such weight, they echo across time. Let's explore them, not just for their historical meaning, but for what they awaken within you. Spell 1. The opening of the mouth. This ritual isn't about speech, it's about activation. In the physical world, priests performed it on statues and mummies to open their senses. But in the afterlife, it symbolized awakening the soul's full faculties: sight beyond sight, hearing beyond sound, speech that creates reality. In esoteric terms, it means regaining your voice, the divine creative spark. The soul can't navigate the Duat with eyes closed. It must remember who it is. Spell 17. The Declaration of Divine Identity. This spell is a paradox. The initiate says, "I am Adam when he came into being. I am the great God who created himself." At first, it may sound like blasphemy, but in Egyptian metaphysics, it's a statement of profound truth. The soul is not separate from the Creator. It is the Creator expressing itself through form. This declaration isn't arrogance, it's remembrance. Only the soul who knows its own divinity can pass through the gates of the gods. The Hall of Ma'at, the weighing of the heart. This is perhaps the most iconic and misunderstood moment in the book. Picture this. The soul stands in a great hall before 42 divine judges. Anubis, jackal-headed guide of the dead, carefully places the heart on one side of a golden scale. On the other, a feather, the feather of Ma'at. Thoth, the ibis-headed scribe, records the result. If the heart is heavier, bloated with lies, violence, guilt, the soul is devoured by Ammit, the devourer of the dead, a chimera of crocodile, lion, and hippo. But if the heart is lighter, the soul is free. This is no punishment system. It's alchemy. The heart must be light, unburdened, aligned with truth. The 42 negative confessions, statements like, "I have not stolen, I have not polluted the water, I have not closed my ears to truth," aren't religious rules. They are frequencies of purity. The weighing of the heart is not judgment by others. It's the soul's own confrontation with its life, its vibrational audit. The 12 gates and the journey through the Duat. The Duat, the underworld, is not a place of torment. It's a spiritual labyrinth rich with symbolism. The soul must pass through 12 gates, each guarded by deities and containing trials that test the soul's purity, courage, and memory. Each gate represents a dimension of the inner self. At every threshold, the soul must speak secret names, not to unlock doors externally, but to awaken parts of itself. These names aren't passwords, they are keys of consciousness. When spoken with understanding, they transform the soul, preparing it to transcend illusion. These 12 gates mirror the 12 hours of the night, and perhaps even the 12 layers of consciousness known in other mystical systems, from Kabbalah to Vedic cosmology. The alignment is not coincidental, it's universal. Spell 125. The Negative Confessions. Often considered the spiritual core of the book, this spell lists 42 affirmations, truths the soul declares before the judges of the dead. Unlike commandments written in stone, these confessions aren't rules imposed from above. They are agreements made by the soul before birth. I have not killed. I have not closed my heart to suffering. I have not caused terror. I have not been angry without cause. I have not cursed the gods. I have not acted with arrogance. I have not denied bread to the hungry. I have not polluted myself.
A frequency, an invitation to self-purify. In a world obsessed with performance, these confessions call us back to being, to integrity, inner alignment, and responsibility. They whisper, "You already know the path. You just forgot." Spells of protection, the serpent, the fire, and the lake. Throughout the Duat, the soul encounters dangers, not to punish but to purify. Fiery lakes, serpent guardians, demonic entities. But in Egyptian esotericism, demons are not external evils. They are aspects of the unmastered self. A serpent that threatens is not evil. It is your untamed instinct, your unconscious fear. The fire is not hell. It is purification. The lake is not death. It is rebirth. The Book of the Dead arms the soul with spells to pass unharmed, not by fighting, but by transforming. True power, it teaches, comes not from domination, but from harmony. Spell 30b, the heart that does not betray. I have not let my heart betray me in the presence of the gods. This line pierces the veil. The heart in ancient Egypt wasn't just an organ, it was the seat of consciousness. More than the brain, it held memory, emotion, identity. It was you. This spell is the soul's plea that its own heart will not turn against it. Because if we live in contradiction, speaking peace but holding hate, serving others while resenting ourselves, our heart knows. And in the end, it speaks. To have a heart that does not betray is to live in truth. These chapters and spells are not stories to admire from a distance. They are blueprints, encoded maps for navigating not just death, but life. Because in every moment of fear, anger, confusion, or illusion, we are already in the Duat, facing our own gates, our own serpents, our own scales. The Book of the Dead does not begin when we die. It begins now. The Egyptian Book of the Dead is not merely funerary literature. It is an initiatic manual, a multidimensional transmission coded in symbols, numbers, and sacred language. To the untrained eye, it reads like poetry. But to the initiate, it's a roadmap through the most profound metamorphosis, the death of illusion and the rebirth of truth. Let's decode the deeper layers. The Duat is within you. Modern minds view the Duat as an underworld, a realm beneath the living world. But in Egyptian cosmology, this inner realm is not separate. The Duat exists within consciousness. It is the realm of shadow, memory, fear, longing, and unrealized potential. Passing through the Duat isn't about going somewhere after death. It's about descending into the self. Facing the unresolved, the fragmented, the forgotten. Every trial, every gate, every demon is an archetype within. The crocodile-headed Amit isn't just an external force. It's the part of you that devours your own potential when you betray your truth. The feather of Ma'at isn't an object. It's a state of being, lightness of heart, alignment with the eternal. The sacred geometry of the book. Egyptian temples were built in alignment with stars. Every angle, every glyph, every chamber was intentional. The Book of the Dead mirrors this structure. Its spells and chapters correspond not only to spiritual functions, but to geometrical harmonics. Consider this. 42 judges equals 42 nomes of Egypt, but also the 42 levels of consciousness or laws that govern manifestation. In Kabbalistic numerology, 42 also connects to the name of God, a vibration that governs reality. 12 gates equals 12 hours of night, 12 zodiac signs, 12 cranial nerves, the journey of the soul through time and form, 7 realms of the Duat. Mirrors, the 7 chakras, the 7 heavens, the 7 tones of sacred sound. The entire book is structured as a frequency matrix. To recite it is not just to pray, it is to tune your being. The role of sound and vibration. Egyptian priests knew what modern science is rediscovering. Sound is creation. The original Egyptian word for magic was heka, the activated vibration of divine speech. Spells in the book were never meant to be read silently. They were intoned, sung, breathed into reality. Each name, each phrase, carried a frequency that could shift realms. When the soul says, "I am the flame which shines in the eye of Ra," it is not metaphor. It is identity alignment. The vibration of the phrase activates the flame within. This is why secret names were so protected. To speak a thing was to command it. The initiation of the soul. The journey through the book mirrors the stages of ancient initiation into mystery schools, especially those of Isis, Osiris, and Thoth. Descent into the Duat mirrors the initiate's descent into the unconscious. Encounters with gods and guardians mirror confrontations with archetypes and personal karma. The weighing of the heart reflects the purification of motive and memory. Passing through gates reflects mastering levels of vibration and wisdom. Emerging into the day, the coming forth by day, is not the soul leaving the full awakening of divine self-awareness. In this light, the book is not about avoiding judgment or escaping punishment. It's about alchemy, transmuting the human into the divine. Osiris, the prototype of resurrection. Osiris is the silent center of the book. Though not always named, his myth underpins everything. He is the dismembered king, killed by his brother Set, scattered across the Nile, reassembled by Isis, and resurrected as the ruler of the Duat. But this is not history, it's initiation. Osiris represents the divine within you, your highest essence, betrayed by ego, Set, forgotten in the fragmentation of daily life. The feminine, Isis, must gather the lost parts of the soul. Only then can the true self rise. To become Osiris is the final aim of the book. The soul, purified and integrated, becomes like him, immortal, luminous, sovereign. The role of Thoth, keeper of memory. Thoth, god of writing, wisdom, and magic, is the architect behind the scenes. He records the weighing of the heart. He names the names. He guards the scrolls. But deeper still, Thoth is cosmic memory. He represents that part of you that never forgets who you truly are, even when you do. He is the witness, the scribe, the voice of your own higher mind, whispering through intuition, synchronicity, and dream. To follow the book is to awaken the thought within, to remember. Ma'at, the frequency of universal law. Ma'at is not just a goddess. She is the field of truth, the harmonic order that holds the cosmos together. Stars orbit by her law, seasons flow in her rhythm. Justice, truth, balance, harmony, all are her names. The initiate must align with Ma'at, not because of dogma, but because to resist her is to fall out of resonance with reality itself. To speak truth, to live with integrity, to balance the heart. This is not morality, it is sacred physics. The feather of Ma'at is light only to those who are in tune. Death as the final initiation. To the ancient Egyptians, death was not the end. It was the culmination of life, the ultimate initiation. All earthly roles fall away. Titles vanish. Possessions are meaningless. What remains is the soul's essence, its alignment, its frequency, its truth. The Book of the Dead prepares the soul for this moment, not through fear, but through remembrance. It says, "You are more than you appear. Your life was a ritual, your death is a doorway, and your journey is not ending, it is beginning anew." The Book of the Dead is not a relic, it is a mirror, held up across time, asking you a single question. Do you remember who you are? In an age of distraction, artificial light, and spiritual amnesia, its wisdom is more relevant than ever. You don't need to be an Egyptian priest to walk this path. You only need one thing: the courage to look within. Live as if you are being weighed. Every day your heart is weighed, not by gods, but by consequences. Every word, thought, and action sends out vibrations. They ripple. They return. To live with a light heart is to act with truth, even when it's inconvenient. Compassion, even when it's not reciprocated. Sovereignty, even in a world of manipulation. Ask yourself often, if my heart were weighed right now, would it rise like the feather of Ma'at? This isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. Your life is a ritual. The ancients didn't separate the sacred from the mundane. Cooking was ritual. Bathing was purification. Speaking was spell work. Modernity has turned life into noise. But you can reverse that. Light a candle with intention. Speak your goals like prayers. Enter silence like it's a temple. Every act can become a doorway. You are not having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being, remembering itself through experience. Face your Duat. Daily avoidance is modern religion. We scroll to numb. We work to distract. We consume to forget. But the Duat, the underworld of the soul, waits. Every fear, every shame, every wound you've buried is a gatekeeper. Don't wait until death to meet them. Sit with yourself, in silence, in nature, in dream. Ask, what parts of me have I denied? What truths am I afraid to see? And when they rise, don't fight. Witness. That is how the soul moves forward. Speak the true name. In Egyptian belief, to know the true name of something was to hold its essence. You, too, have forgotten your true name. You've worn the masks of society. Employee. Success. Failure. Nice. Broken. Popular. None of these are you. Your true name is spoken only in the language of frequency, so how do you remember it? Not said. By doing what sets your soul on fire. By creating beauty that needs no permission. By following the subtle thread of inner knowing. When you are in alignment, the universe calls you by your true name. Synchronicities appear. Doors open. Dreams speak clearly. This is not magic, it is Ma'at. Master the art of dying before death. The final initiation in Egyptian mysticism was to die before dying. This did not mean physical death. It meant the ego's death, the surrender of control, the shedding of false identity. When you no longer fear the end, you begin to truly live. Here's how you practice. Let go of attachments that no longer serve your soul. Meditate on impermanence, not with fear, but with reverence. Release the obsession with more, and remember the eternal is within you. This is not detachment. It is liberation. Turn your life into a sacred book. The Book of the Dead was personalized. Each person's scroll was crafted with their name, their journey, their version of the truth. So ask yourself, if my soul had to journey through the Duat tonight, what spells would I need? Would your life be enough? Would your words carry light? Would your regrets outweigh your becoming? Make your life a book of coming forth by day. Fill it with truth told when it was hard, kindness done without witnesses, beauty created without validation, moments of alignment when no one was looking. Because in the end, it's not gods who judge you. It's your own soul that decides whether it is free. The ancient Egyptians believed that every soul carries a spark of Ra, the eternal sun. That even in the deepest darkness, this flame never dies. The Book of the Dead was a reminder. You are not the body that decays. You are not the story that fades. You are the eternal light, veiled in illusion, ready to awaken. The path is not outside you. The gates are not in the sky. The Duat is within, and so is the dawn. Come forth by day.